What's up, everybody? It's Sam and Wick with the Dukes of Blather. As always, we're brought to you by the fine folks at Adventist Clinic in Woodstock, Georgia. They offer hope to patients with major depressive disorders, postpartum depression, bipolar depression, OCD, PTSD, and severe anxiety. Severe depression takes a huge toll on your everyday life, and ketamine therapy offers a chance to find hope again. Many patients have tried numerous oral medications but have found little to no relief, as well as difficult to tolerate side effects. Ketamine treatment is highly effective and safe. It's time to get off harmful medications and start living again. If you're in pain, get help from the Adventist Clinic in Woodstock, Georgia. Get more information if this treatment is right for you at 770-850-1042 or visit their website, www.theadventisclinic.com. We're Dukes of Blather, and Wick's here. Hello, sir. How are you?
Damn decent, sir. How are you?
You're always damn decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. In an ever-changing world of 2021 and all the madness, being damn good is a good thing to be.
I don't mean to diminish anybody else's suffering, but I didn't find last year as rough as I think some people did.
2020?
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't, knock on wood, I wasn't connected to anyone who really had COVID. So I did not, luckily experience any losses or anything like that. I do know people that dealt with it. I think I had a little bout with it, but my wife says, you're just overreacting. You're so dramatic. So probably did not have it, but I think I did. I feel pretty confident in that. So, I didn't deal with any serious results of COVID. Of course, you see the numbers and they're really scary, but I got to kind of agree with you. I've gotten really fortunate that, I think on a light scale, because we never take anything too serious here. On a light scale, I was just happy that football was on, and I was really nervous because of basketball getting canceled. The Sweet 16, I like to bet on that. And
yeah, that's
canceled, and
that was a bummer, but
yeah, but I thought football was going to be the next thing, and lo and behold, we had football, so I'm not really here to complain too much. I mean, we got through the season. That's kind of my big thing, and I think it helped people find a little bit of normal in their lives, having football back on. So that, works.
Yeah, I mean, who am I if the Falcons aren't at the bottom of the division?
Right. If they're not sucking it up. I actually misread yesterday. I don't know why. I guess media people and social media news sites and things like that have to be really creative with their titles of their stories, because I swear last night I'm looking through Google News on my phone. I've got a Google Pixel that I actually got, and so I get Google News read pretty steadily, and I was saying Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons got traded to the Bears in a blockbuster deal, and I was like, holy crap, dude, this is amazing. I open it up, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, Matt Ryan got traded from the Atlanta Falcons? That's insane, because Matt Stafford got traded yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is insane. And then I read it, and I opened it up, and I'm reading it. Now, that was the title until I got to the first paragraph that said, if the Chicago Bears were to trade for Matt Ryan, it would be one of these blockbuster deals. And I'm like, wait a minute.
No. No.
You know what I mean? You just totally tricked me into believing this. And I told actual people that this happened. I was like, oh my God, Matt Ryan got traded. What did he get traded? I was like, this is crazy. Come to turn, they were just bullshitting me to get me to read the article, which I didn't. I immediately closed it because I was so angry. I just hate being tricked like that. But anyway, so yeah. I mean, you know what? I just enjoy football. I just really enjoy it. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy
greatest game ever conceived.
Yeah, I enjoy the time of year and when it goes down. And listen, I know serious things have happened, but we can't be serious all the time. I think that's part of the problem right now. And it's funny, Wick, I was on Facebook yesterday, and I'm part of this group. I'm a Generation Xer, as you are, and I'm part of this group on Facebook, which brings great joy to me, which is kids of the 80s, and a lot of like groups that are based around 80s. So they'll post a lot of 80s commercials or ads from Toys R Us or storylines or something like that. And it's always fun. And there was a guy that was on there who said, literally, he goes, I was born in 2000. And I joined this page because I get great enjoyment out of watching people who grew up in the 80s reminisce about the times. And I'm just curious, was it really that great? And I've seen this posted on 2 or 3 things. I think I saw it on a YouTube comment where I'd commented on something on Batman with the original Batman with Michael Keaton. And somebody had written the same thing. God, you guys had so much fun back then. Was it really like that? And I had to stop because I've been seeing these questions. I'm hoping that millennials and, maybe even, what are they, Generation Z?
And now Alpha.
Alpha. Whatever. I mean, you young guys out there that probably don't listen to the show, but maybe do. We're probably used as ways to keep people laughing. Probably the millennials use us for humor. But anyway.
Because we're hilarious.
We are hilarious. And I said, so there was a lot of comments about that. And I'm kind of wondering if millennials and Generation Z and all that stuff, if they're actually starting to reach out because now they're kind of over it. Maybe they're trying to learn a little bit more about the 80s and stuff like that. But, Wick, it's like, and I sat down on the guy with the Facebook comment. I sat down and I actually typed out some things, and I was like, you know what? I said it was more fun by far, but I think we just in the 80s we had this era about us where we were coming up on consumerism, electronics were exploding. We were getting video recorders, like the video. We were able to videotape events. We had games coming out. We had this new thing called neon colors, neon pink, neon blue.
Everything had shoulder pads.
Everything had shoulder pads. We had new fashion
that
was starting to come
triangle.
out. Yeah. You used to roll your jeans up. But we had new fashion. Skateboarding.
You pegged them.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. I used to safety pin mine. And then we had skateboarding had started to take off. BMXing was taken off. We had new kind of things the movies were not very serious. Nobody had a whole lot of political, real true agenda. Everybody kind of got along politically, or they kept it to themselves. And I was like, I just think that it was a different attitude. Like when you had to go get, when you wanted to buy an album from a band, you had to go to a specialty store. You had to go to the record store and buy a record or a tape or a CD. If you wanted clothing, Wick, you had to go to a clothing store and buy clothing items. And that's where the mall became so popular. If you wanted to play video games, you had to go to the arcade. Like if you wanted to buy computer programs, like Oregon's Trail or some kind of floppy disk, you had to go to Babbage's to go
King's
buy those
Quest.
things.
Oh God, I love that.
Yeah. Like you had to go specialty stores that specialized in these things. Like the box stores of Walmart were not taking off quite yet. And so I told him, I said, I think we were just a lot more social because when we had to go do things, we were all going to places in social groups and gatherings to get items that we needed or, whatever. Now everybody does things online, or even before that, they went to like a big box store, like a Walmart, and got everything that they needed. People still do that now. But I think that there was a lot of being out and about and crossing different types of people when you were out and being a lot more social. And I said, I don't know that it was more fun, but at the same time, I think it was just a simple situation where we had our head in the sand a little bit. We were really getting hit by a lot of things. It was over stimulation, right? I mean, video games, Nintendo, the Power Glove. I mean, you pick anything,
the Power Glove,
anything that was going on at that moment, and it went to the extreme.
I have one of those now. It's for a completely different reason.
It's your worm catcher, but
yeah.
People, everything was moving so fast. Nintendo came out, then there was this game, and then there was this with attachment and all this, and toys were having this huge explosion, and we were having cartoons. Saturdays were just loaded with cartoons and cartoons after school, and it just was really a lot of overstimulation. And I think it made us less, I think it made us more carefree. I think it made us more aloof about society and things that are going on, that it'll be okay. It'll kind of work out, because I just don't think that we had time to focus on all the problems. And I said, this is what I hate for your generation, is that, from about the 2000s on, and I feel like the show is a millennium bashing show, and it's not, but it's like you kind of have to be aware that, in the time that you're growing up from 2000 to 2020, the only thing that you have to really lose yourself in is what's going on around you. And at the time for us, it was neon color skateboards, ET, Wasp, and Ozzy, and all this other stuff,
Yes.
or Paula Abdul, or whatever you were into, and then Saved by the Bell. Like, we were absorbing things that were made customized for us to keep us entertained, so that we spent money on things.
Yeah.
Consumerism was the engine turning the 80s, and Wicker Shoes and Miami Vice and all these things. And if it wasn't one thing, it was something else. And I think now it's just like all that's so is missing so much from these younger generations, that they almost look at us in awe. That it's like, what was it like? What was it like to live back then? And it's not like we were in the Civil War. I mean, it's not like we were fighting over the bridge in the American Revolution. I mean, we weren't doing anything crazy. It just was.
What was Robert Lee like?
Yeah, right. What was it like to live under Reagan's trickle-down economy? Like, it just was like, I mean, we just had so much stimulation that I don't think we had time to think about problems. Our biggest problems were girlfriends or boyfriends, a best friend being angry at us, parents fighting with you about your homework. And now it just seems like everything's gotten way too serious. And maybe they look at us and say, you guys, put your head in the sand for so long, and now we're in this situation because of you. And maybe that's true, but at the same time, I think life's hard, and it's okay to put your head in the sand a little bit when you're young. And I hate that it just feels like when I'm getting asked these questions, or I see these questions on Facebook more often from younger people, that it's amazing that the 80s are so interesting to them, because it just seemed like it was party time, which it was, but I feel bad that these guys now have to take everything so serious.
Yeah, they're getting like dragged into adulthood at a rapid rate, it seems.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of adopt the political. They adopt identity. I think that's probably something that we can hit on right here, Wick. As I think when you're young, you adopt identities around you. Now it won't always be your parents, right? You might adopt the identity of a heavy metal headbanger back then. You might adopt the identity of somebody who's into pop and new what do they call it? New wave.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you may adopt being a BMX rider. You might adopt being a skateboarder. You might adopt being a punk rocker. Like, we as young people, we do tend to absorb things that we're interested in. I mean, there are some people that absorbed being interested in video games, and I remember when War Games came out with Matthew Broderick, and a lot of people became computer PC game wizards. That became a thing. And I just think that when you're young, you absorb, and when you don't have good substance to absorb to sustain you in a state of, aloofness, you start to absorb the news. You start to absorb your parents' political opinions. You start to absorb your teachers' political opinions. You start to absorb everything that everybody's talking about and whatever movement's happening at the moment. And I think it's a really kind of a lost generation that I don't think they realize how much they've missed out on.
I think that's mostly true, but nostalgia can be very dangerous too, because how everything turned out. I think if you remember in the 80s, there was 60s nostalgia.
Yeah.
And there was kind of like a reemergence of the Doors and the Monkees, if you remember that. Like they came back pretty strong because they were on MTV, I think, when I was 5th or 6th grade.
It makes me wonder if we'll see an 80s renewal, that there'll be a general interest in the 80s society and 80s and consumerism, and people will just get tired of being so serious and having to stand up for all these things and having to fight over little, like, I wonder if they'll figure out there's no way to win these battles, because what we're seeing now is, battles being picked over everything, and you can't win them. You can't win them all. And we're going to talk about one tonight, but I mean, you can't win all these battles. And I just wonder, is there a point as we go forward where young people realize, what, I can't win these battles. I just don't want to give a shit anymore. And I mean, not in a bad way where I just want to jump off a roof, but I just want to have fun and I want to be young. I wonder if there's going to be a generation that's coming that's going to say, you know what? I don't want to take all this serious. I don't want to be in this situation. I want to be a kid and I want to enjoy the fun stuff going on. And I don't want to be socially aware about the environment and scared to death. I don't want to live in fear. I want to rebel in a way that makes me feel like I'm rebelling in the right, healthy way.
I think it's already happening.
You think so?
Yeah. When you think about the riots over the summer, in terms of rebellion.
Yeah, I wonder if we're heading for burnout. I guess you can only be so serious for so long, especially when you're young. I think before you go kind of looking and stalking for the next thing to do, that maybe is not as serious. I think it feels cool to be serious and be woke, but I think also there's a part of that where you don't really understand the world totally and how it works and how screwed up it really is. You don't understand the rules so much, and these unsaid and unknowing rules that happen that are hard to understand when you're young. But not that
I don't think an explosion like that is is likely to happen again. I don't think the economic components are there to infiltrate the media in terms of programming and advertising and marketing, and I don't think anybody has that kind of discretionary income anymore to be able for the forces that be to kind of curate an environment for that.
Well, and you kind of seeing that too with this whole, I don't know if you've been catching up or been reading on this Reddit thing where they're disrupting Wall Street and investing in.
Yeah, that's.
I'm dumb enough. I did it. I did it. I became an investor this week because I was like, what?
In GameStop?
No, I couldn't get in on GameStop.
Yeah, they froze it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did freeze it. But I did buy into AMC, which I kind of like because I do think once this COVID thing slows down, God willing, it will. That people will be dying to go back to the movies, and there's going to be movies that I know that are probably. I think once this clears out, we're going to see, and the movies are safe to kind of go back to again. I think you're going to see an explosion of movies coming out because they're probably backloaded on releases, and they're like, shit, just hammer this stuff out, get it out there, make some money on it. And I think there's going to be kind of an overwhelming load of movies that are going to come out. And I kind of think AMC is not a bad stock to buy in, but that was one of them. I got on the Reddit, Wall Street bets.com, Wall Street Bets Reddit, and was like, hey man, I want to get on this revolution. I want to tell Wall Street to stick it. And so I did some stocks, but
I think everybody's kind of coalescing around that. I don't think I think it's almost apolitical, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I do too. I think it is. I think it's good. I think people are now
because you're screwing over the hedge funds, which short selling. It's kind of a dubious strategy to begin with.
Well, it's this thing where how long have we been living with billionaires and people who own all these hedge fund companies and businesses and manage these hedge funds, where they're manipulating the market by buying and selling things at large amounts anyway, and they're betting on businesses to fail. good
Yeah.
for good for Reddit.
And borrowed money.
Right. And
Yeah.
and they get to control the market, and they get to tell you when you make money in your 401k and when you don't. And I think it's good. I think it's a good thing for people to come together and actually kind of show them up and cause them to lose a little bit of money, like they've caused others to lose money. But
But now I think GameStop is probably massively overvalued.
that stock. Okay, so the stock price I think was $300 something. It literally should be around $15 at the most.
Yeah, it was like $4 last year.
Yeah, and even at that, I was talking to a friend who does this stuff, and he was like, even at $4, it was overvalued. But I was like, listen, like here's my problem with it. I mean, with GameStop, even if you're not into the stock market thing, we're not going to do that because it's not really our forte. But even with GameStop, I mean, if you go in there, you're buying. They don't give you crap for your used games when you go in and sell them. They're selling new games for what you can pay for them at Walmart, sometimes more. And even when they resell the used games, they're overpriced. I mean, we saw this again in the 90s with the, CD trade-in business where you could go back then. We had these big, folders. Wick still has his, I'm sure, of CDs. My wife does. She still has hers. I was teasing her about it the other day. But she has this, booklet of CDs. And
it's right back here.
Yeah, there we go.
It's right back there.
Yeah. Load it with U2 and REM. And you probably don't. Nobody.
A lot of weird stuff.
It would probably gross me out. But anyway, I like your heavy metal mind. That's where we agree. But you used to take your booklet of CDs into these places, kind of like a Play It Again Sports, and CD go around or whatever, and you would flop it on the table, and you'd be like, I want to sell my CDs. And you might have paid $400 new for all these CDs. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to buy these for about, $28. And then you get pissed off and, be like, screw you. I'm not going to sell them. But I mean, I think it's that old business model from those days. Plato's Closet, the stores that they did with the baby items like baby gates and car seats and we've seen this, like Play It Again Sports, and we've seen this model, where in the 90s it was really, really popular, to go and trade in your old stuff for new stuff. They just didn't give you crap for your old stuff, right? And so I think you kind of saw that with the GameStop business model, and I think people got really tired of it, and they're like, screw this, I can sell it on eBay for more, or I can put it on, Facebook Marketplace and sell this game for a lot more than what they're going to give me. And I think the new games didn't offer any discounts because, quite frankly, the people who put new games together priced them at an MSRP, and that's what they price them at for everybody. So you're actually going to lose money and go against what the company who's putting that out is wanting you to do. So you have to sell it for whatever they want. And I just don't think that GameStop provides anything beyond being a Molotov cocktail at the hedge fund people. So I don't.
Well, the dude that started all this, I think, really did believe that they were undervalued, and I don't know why he thought that they were going in a different direction.
Yes, so
that they were going to go more into game development.
Yeah, okay, so this is what GameStop was going to do for anyone who's trying to just catch up with the times in a Cliff Notes version, a Wick Notes. So the idea was that GameStop has been toying with building gaming PCs. So it would be a lot like Build-A-Bear, where you would go into GameStop and you'd say, I want this case, I want this processor, I want this video graphics card, I want this, I want this, I want this. And they would build it there as you're going through and hook it up. And by the time you got done, you're paying for a new gaming PC and you're on your way. The problem with that is that there's a ton of websites that already were doing that for years and years now at a cheaper rate than probably what they're going to pay at a brick and mortar GameStop, where they're hiring employees for $15 an hour. Now that we're trying to go up a minimum wage, but limited knowledge by GameStop employees. I mean, these aren't guys who work in the Geek Squad here. These are video gamers. They're game players. And so You're going to have to pay somebody who knows computers a lot more to come into GameStop and work in that environment where you're putting these computers together. You're going to have people that have some technical training and knowledge. And so I think that was their business model, and that got people excited. But I kind of look at it as, hold on, you can do this anywhere online. There's probably 4 or 5 companies that are very good at building you a personal computer, and you're skipping out on the employment payment to do it. So you're probably getting it a little bit cheaper than what GameStop's going to do at the end of the day. And there was also some rumor that they were going to create these game hubs where you're going to go in and play games as a group. And I've been in a GameStop, man. It's like a closet. Good luck getting. There's like at Christmas time, if there's 7 people in there, I feel like I can't breathe. So I don't see how they're
going to. It's like a New York apartment.
Yes. I don't know how you're going to do a build a PC and put in a gaming hub there. I just don't see how you're going to be able to do that. It's going to cost a lot of money to do all that, do those transformations and swing things around. And so I really think that people thought it was undervalued because of that. But I kind of think it's still a dumb move, because I don't think anybody in their right minds would look at GameStop and go, yeah, we need to build personal computers now. It's hard for me to see that,
Yeah, I don't, especially with gamers they're going to be kind of tech savvy, so they're going to.
Well, they're going to be tech savvy, and they're going to
figure out where they can get it cheaper.
Well, and will they work in the collectible market? Listen, they sell a lot of those Pop Funko figures and all that, and that's all gravy. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not like that's beating up the market either. I mean, that's another thing that probably ends up on eBay. And if you go to Target now, I'm in Target because I have 2 kids and I'm in the toy section a lot.
Right. That's because of 2 kids.
Right. Well, I would be in there anyway. But
yeah.
And the Target has a section that's almost completely the same as GameStop's collectible section, where they sell weird shit that you're like, why would anybody buy this? Like, Marty McFly figure, but somebody is, and Target's probably doing it cheaper than GameStop's doing it because they have such a high markup.
Yeah, they have a buying leverage that GameStop could never possibly have.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. So it's like, I think there was some excitement about that, but but it's so overpriced now, and I got to be honest with you, this whole thing's like this movement of showing up Wall Street and screw Wall Street, because Wall Street's there's all these algorithms and things that Wall Street has to do to keep this thing going and make their money back. And that means they've got to buy more stock. I don't understand it. But at some point, like, they had a guy that invested $56,000 in GameStop, $56,000. He is now $17 million richer off of $56,000. 17.
And now it's going to create a culture where everybody thinks you're going to be able to do that.
Well, YouTube's already done that, as you can see.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Wick. When do you take your 17 million back? I mean, I put $56,000 in and I make 17
Well, he's like,
million.
they're telling everybody to hold. Oh,
yeah. Well, here's
it's a bubble. It has to be a bubble.
Here's the thing, too. How do you know that all these people that are telling you to hold aren't telling you to hold so that they can sell?
Yeah.
They want to hold the price. They want you to keep buying. And then they go, hey.
And then once it starts to inch out of the news,
they're out.
They're out. Exactly.
They're out. They're not doing it now because it's still a really fresh thing. And there's ripple effects. There's the average everyday person like me who saw this going on the news and was like, I'm on Reddit. I'm very active. Let me go join this group and see and I went and bought stock. You're going to have that ripple effect, and then it's going to die down, and greed's going to take over, because ultimately that's who we are. Okay, we're not good people. Like Wick says, we're great. We deserve great pats on the back. I think we're really horrible deep down, but I think that if you invested $1,000, Wick, if you bought $1,000 stock when it first started taking off, like at $20, you'd have 13 grand right now. You're not going to tell me the average person's not saying, cash out, I'm taking my 13,000. They're going to cash out. Because
question is, what does GameStop do with all this massive influx of money?
Nothing. They've hired new people to I think they've hired new management and all this from another online thing, but they haven't done anything. I mean, there's nothing that's really actually happening. You know, I mean, I'm being told to hold. I'll do what I'm being asked because I didn't put that much in, dude. I got like 10 shares. That's it. But I mean, you know, I'm yeah, okay, I'll hold whatever. But and I don't have GameStop, but I have other like AMC, like 10 shares, which just didn't take off any way like freaking GameStop did.
Well, you know, Warren Buffett's philosophy is when it's a bull market, pretend it's a bear market. When it's a bear market, pretend it's a bull market.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice. That's advice I've gotten from a friend, and you know, I think I'm gonna. It's fun because I like gambling. You know, I didn't put a lot of money in because I don't have it, but I put a little bit of play money in. But you know, we'll see what happens. But I think a lot of what we saw is a transition of people saying, you know what, I think they want to kind of make money, and these young people are getting involved. These are y'all young people that are investing in this. I mean, my father, who's an investor, asked him about it. He's like, "What are you talking about? What's a GameStop?" So, listen. So this
it's roiling the market right now. So
yeah, he knows now.
Oh, yeah.
He'll buy at the top and lose money. But anyway, but you know the whole thing
it's
is
like my dad trying to tell me like in 2013, buy Apple. It's going to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah,
and like that was true 10 years ago.
Yeah,
that would have been 2000.
Yeah, you have to catch it a little bit on the low end, but
yeah.
I mean, you know, I think we're seeing a transformation of young people and the way that they're looking at things, and maybe a lot of this seriousness is going to break, and we're not going to have it so much, and people are going to kind of want to make money and be a little greedy and spend it on frivolous things and kind of start having fun. We'll see, because you know it could be a situation. I love it because I think it's given power back to the middle class and the lower class who, you know, can throw in, you know, a couple of $100 and maybe make 1,000 and sell, and then maybe they get interested in the stock market, and maybe we see things change and all that. I mean, Wall Street will probably still win in the end because they're a juggernaut, but you know, maybe you can manipulate the market, and we'll see. You know, you'll see the people, the powers that be, that'll get involved and say, you know, Reddit, you can't do this. You know, the SEC will get involved and start, you know.
Well, the SEC's been quiet from what I understand.
Well, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, who do you go after? I mean, it's just a bunch of people.
They're not doing anything wrong.
Reddit. Yeah, it's nobody has any connections to really do anything. It's just, I would like to see this begin to happen where, you know, you have the purchasing power of a few million people at once making purchases, instead of millions of people on their own making separate, different purchases, millions of people together making purchases and taking the power back from Wall Street and beginning to maybe live on some of that money. I know a friend who has COVID hurt his business and he hasn't been able to kind of regain. And he was like, listen, man, you know, I put $4,000 into the stock market and I've been able to live the whole year on it because I've been making moves to, you know, to do things and have some financial stability. So, you know, kudos to him. I mean, could you have done that years ago? I don't know, but you know, it's nice to see that somebody put in $4,000 has been able to live on that by making good, smart investment moves. Who's under 50, you know, and so that's good. You know, I don't know that I would have believed that years ago, but here we are. So
first time I invested was in 2007. So
yeah.
You never know.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things where I think we're starting to see maybe a shift in the way that behavior is for younger people. I think it's a good thing, especially if they can get back into being greedy. I think greed is good sometimes. We've been shaming it, but listen, it's okay. It's okay to make money and enjoy it if you're an average person. You know, you hate the rich when you're poor, and when you're rich, you hate the poor. So, you know, nobody wants to trade places out of being rich. So, but everybody wants to trade places out of being poor. So it's an interesting thing that we're going to go through here, and we'll see, but it's a big news story, man. And I'm buying my my AMC movie stock, and we'll see what happens. I'm being told Monday it's gonna be the new revolution. So we'll see. But like I said, I mean, the dudes who invested, I think I figured if you invested $10,000, you'd have 100,000 right now, roughly. And if you invest at 5,000, you'd be sitting around 50, 60 grand. So I got to think that people that had the ability, and that's not a lot of money to invest, $2,000, it's a, or 5,000 is a lot for me. But for some people, they can do that, or they had that amount in another account, and they're like, "Screw it, I'm going to put it all into GameStop." There are people that made that money, and they're going to cash out. They're going to say, "You know what? I'm going to take this. This is a lottery scratch off." The guy who made 17.
There's no way it can hold.
No, and listen, take the money and run, get it. Find another stock. If you can, this is the thing. Everybody thinks, well, if we keep holding, they'll just keep losing money. They're going to find a way to counteract what's going on. This is Wall Street hedge funds. These are people who run, brokerage firms. They know after they catch their breath and they quit being dizzy, they're going to say, okay, now how do we fix this? How do we get back to where we were making money? And they'll figure it out. But
plus it's short end money, and that's not how you really make money in the stock market.
No, it's not.
You make money on compound interest over time.
Over time. Yes, it is a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, look, sell it here. Let's go find the new one and let's go do the new one. Let's go pump up some $4 stock up to, $180 and let me get in on it. And then I'll sell mine off. But this is what's going to happen is a lot of people you're going to have the danger of, like you said, of people doing these things and then pumping in all the money they can borrow and all the free cash they have. And they're going to say, they're going to be on Reddit. And it's going to be like, hey, we're going to pump up, some.
And then they're going to start doing exactly what the short sellers are doing.
Right.
The hedge fund manager.
Right.
And they become.
Yes. It's going to be like, hey, there's this little CBD farm, this little CBD pharmaceutical company, and it's at $3. Let's pump it up to 180. And everybody's going to be like, well, we're going to do that. I'm putting, I'm mortgaging the house. I'm putting everything I have on and somebody's going to get burned. It's going to happen. And pretty soon the troops don't follow. And I mean, somebody will get hurt in this situation because ultimately, when I'm looking at somebody throwing $53,000 and making $17 million, God, I wish that was me. Like all I can think about is if I could rewind time, God, I don't have it, but I would have sure as hell found it somewhere and borrowed, everything I could to throw it in the stock market and make that $17 million and cash out. You know what I mean? And if you don't, you're kind of stupid, right?
Good Lord, yes.
I mean, $17 million.
Because your $17 million is just going to keep going down and down and down.
Sure. I mean, it's got everything falls. Everything comes back. Everything comes back to earth. Especially, like I said, on a company that really hasn't figured out where they are. It's a company that I don't think is sustainable. I think it's inevitable. They're going to lose everything and they're going to go under. I mean, they just don't have a plan for what they need to do. There's nothing that's going to fit GameStop's future that's going to make a lot of sense.
No.
So, and brick and mortar right now is such a hard thing to do because everybody's shopping online. If you want to save GameStop, go buy something. But I imagine these people are going to cash out. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm glad to see Wall Street kind of get a punch in the mouth one time. Yeah. And maybe they can do it, move around to different stocks and do it. And maybe GameStop holds at $60. I mean, that's still a big improvement, So maybe we'll see that happen. But, from this kind of conversation about what the 80s was like, so I just kind of wonder, because the 80s was a greedy time, I just kind of wonder, and the 80s were a big Wall Street time. There was a lot of people investing money into things in the 80s. I mean, Wall Street was a big deal in the 80s. People were making money, and everybody wanted to live like Donald Trump back then. And I just kind of wonder if we'll see that resurgence of that little bit of people wanting to get rich and have wealth, and maybe move into having funner times and maybe cocaine and strippers and all that. Maybe strip clubs and cocaine distribution will increase, and will it be like the 80s all over again? People will be snorting coke off toilet seats. It'll be a blast.
And then learn the hard way that it's the most overrated drug.
Yes.
In the history of man.
Yeah.
You got a little liquid cocaine going right there.
Yeah, the old Mountain Dew. This is Mountain Dew Zero.
Oh, is it Mountain Dew Zero?
Yeah. Yeah, I got to watch the weight, man. Yeah, Mountain Dew Zero. It's actually pretty good. Diet Mountain Dew is just piss terrible. I mean, it's so awful. I hate Diet Mountain Dew, but I like
Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, no, my wife's a Dr. Pepper freak, and she actually has withdrawals. She really struggles with Dr. Pepper, dude. I'm like, if you just cut if you just cut what you consume in half. And I even told her, I said, here's a trick: take a Dr. Pepper, open it, take a diet Dr. Pepper, open it, and do a half and half, and get half the calories and sugar than you normally consume,
Well,
and you won't tell the difference.
has she enjoyed the fruits of a diet Dr. Pepper? Does she know that it's almost the same thing? Really?
Doesn't like it. Doesn't like it. Nope. And I mean,
it's the closest I found to the real thing.
Yeah,
in terms of
a lot of people feel that way. I think Diet Dr. Pepper's fine. It doesn't bother me any, but I think it's definitely one of the better diet drinks. But no, I said, look, just take half of a Diet Dr. Pepper, even if it's a 3/4, regular Dr. At least you're cutting some of the sugar out.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I can still taste it. It doesn't taste right. I'm like, okay, she's a Dr. Pepper freak, man. She loves that stuff. It's like cocaine. That's her cocaine is Dr. Pepper. I mean, I can't shake her off of it. But oh well.
It's a delicious beverage.
It is amazing. It is a top 3 of all time. I saw a high-speed police chase on Friday in the town where we grew up in.
In Vietnam?
In Vietnam, yeah. I was going. Now, a lot of people that listen to this show won't know, but we come from a pretty small town. And not small, but it was small when we were there. And I'm going down the road. I still work out in that area. And I was coming down the road, man, and this car on Jeff Davis, just as a reference for you people that know. And, man, this car came zooming past me, dude. And about 12 police cars chasing it. And by the time it got to,
I'll tell you, where on Jeff Davis, like Moelle area?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
really?
That's exactly where it was. Yeah.
Wow.
And the guy was lucky. He had wide open 2-lane right there, so he was just hauling. I guess it's a 4-lane over there. So he had 2 lanes to himself, and nobody was over there. He was hauling, and I saw him coming towards me, like not head on, but I saw him going past me. And I was like, oh man, what is going on? I saw the police lights. I thought, is that a funeral? No, it's not. They're chasing this dude in this like Hyundai Sonata who's like got it like just freaking floored. I mean, he's giving that Hyundai Sonata all 65 miles an hour it can give. and I mean, you got wheels wobbling. You got wheels wobbling, I mean, it's bumpers are vibrating. It's insane.
It's like having a high-speed chase in a Yaris.
Yeah, that's right. Or a Daewoo. And he's like, he passes me. And I thought, you know what? Like all this time in my life, I thought I would do something heroic in these situations. And all I did was freeze up in my butthole pucker and me just like dipping up, I thought, God, dude, that guy could have hit me head on or stopped at my car, gotten out and told me to get out. And I've been like, huh? What? I don't know what to do right now, man. I don't know what to do right now. I don't know, man. Leave me alone.
Yeah, your adrenaline just like it's panic. It's natural.
Yeah, you watch movies and you're like, oh, dude, I'd ram them off the road and jump in through an open window and beat them senseless and then take the car over. Yeah, no.
This is what the 80s have done to our brains.
Yeah, not in real life, man. In real life,
no.
I went white knuckled and was like, oh God, there's a chase coming. Dear Lord, what do I do? And I pretty much just got stiff. That's all I really did. But
you got stiff?
Well,
you must really enjoy high-speed chases.
Oh my God, I got so excited. Panty pudding, as they say. But no, I did a U-turn.
Oh, I'm going to be up all night now. Oh,
I did a U-turn. I go back because I know that he's heading to an intersection.
Oh,
right. And I'm like, yes, yeah, this is going to happen. And so I was like, there's no way this dude's going to make it through this intersection. There's no way. So I did a U-turn. I went back roads because this is where I'm from. Me and Wick are from here. So I knew all the back roads to take. I get up there and I see all the police lights. And I'm like, yep, sure enough, dude, he rammed the back of a car. Unfortunately, rammed the back of a car. I'm not making a joke out of that. It just sucks. But rammed the back of a car that was in front of him, tried to run. His car's flipped over. There's like 12 police cars there. They got them on the ground. I'm like, I'm going to sit right here in this parking lot and watch this for another 10 or 15 minutes on my lunch break. That's right. I spent my lunch break on Friday, man.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was great. It was great. It was great. I never see that kind of action, man. I was like, I got to, I was going back.
You know what I saw this week?
What'd you see?
Nothing.
See, if you'd have been on Jeff Davis back in on Friday afternoon, you would have seen.
I'm on Jeff Davis all the time. I live off Jeff. I live off when Jeff Davis becomes 92.
Yeah, you do, and But then I searched the papers for it. And I didn't see anything about it. But yeah, it was crazy, man. I've actually seen 2 high-speed chases. The first one was when I lived in Ohio, and I was actually pulling out of my work out of the parking lot and to go on the main road, and this car comes zooming by, man. I almost took my front end off, and it was like 12 police cars following it, and I couldn't catch up to that when I tried. But yeah, I've had 2.
Did I ever tell you twice in the 90s, 2 different occasions? I had been out enjoying the spirits, and I do not recommend, obviously, in my sobriety now, driving under the influence. Right. But then I was a different person then, and on 2 separate occasions, I was cordoned off by the Secret Service, so Clinton's motorcade could go by. Twice.
As you're buzzing.
As I'm buzzing.
Oh,
seeing a presidential motorcade go by when you're drunk on wild turkey is
I think I need a pull over.
A top of the mountain experience. It's like standing on top of Everest and looking out over the cloud cover.
How did they know?
Yeah, and the first time it happened, I was like, "Oh shit!
Yeah.
This is gonna be the biggest DUI in human history." And
I was arrested by President Clinton for my DUI.
Yeah,
what a story!
And then he tried to have sex with me.
Yeah, that's right. He pulled out the cigar. Hey, but yeah, so I saw.
You like cigars?
Hey. But no, still everybody's getting vaccinated. Have you been vaccinated yet?
No.
I'm starting to wonder if they should just let Chick-fil-A do the vaccinations. Like in their drive-thrus, because they move them so fast. Just temperature checks and sticks in the arm.
And almost everybody in the South goes through it. So
oh God.
Don't get it. Don't get it. Don't understand.
You don't understand the fascination with Chick-fil-A?
Some decent sandwich, but the fries are just gross.
I think they're overrated. I think the fries are overrated. Yeah, definitely. But, those lines move, man. I pulled up into one the other day. It had 3 lines that were wrapped around. And I was like, shit. I'm stuck in it now because they always make it where you can't get out. For some reason now all these companies are building barrier walls around their drive-thru so you can't escape when it's too busy. So, and it's the weirdest thing, dude, because I'll pull up and there'll be like 3 empty lines. And I'm like, sweet. And I'll go through around the restaurant, back into the back of the restaurant, come around because they have a certain way you got to come in now. And then as soon as I get around the freaking building, there's all 3 lines filled up. And I'm like, where the hell did all these people come from? It always happens at Chick-fil-A. But they move it through, dude. They move 3 lines at one time. And I'm like, this is incredible. And these people should be doing vaccinations. Like, you should go through and get yourself like a number 1 meal and then a temperature check and a shot in the arm. Just hang your arm out. Get it done. Because I guarantee you it'll move a lot faster than what the government's doing. Just let Chick-fil-A take over the vaccinations. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if Biden...
No, because then I have to go to Chick-fil-A.
We partnered with Chick-fil-A. You partner with Chick-fil-A to handle the vaccination lines.
But that would only work in the Southeast.
Well, it only matters where you live, I mean, if you're in there, it's all good. There's got to be other restaurants that move as fast as Chick-fil-A lines in the northern area, right?
In-N-Out burger booths. In-N-Out did it first, I think.
There you go. Get an In-N-Out and get a vaccination. Free vaccination with every Jack in the Box purchase. There you go. They
do them at liquor stores.
Yeah, liquor stores for sure. But yeah, I just it's amazing that we're not getting that stuff done. But so what's been going on with you? I know I've been talking your head off. Anything going on with you that's been major?
Nothing major. Nothing of consequence.
That's no fun, Wick.
Status quo. This is the way I prefer it.
Did you know Yellow Card had an electric violin player?
No.
Isn't that weird? I didn't know that until somebody posted a video on Facebook, and it was like, well, that's interesting. Okay.
Yellow Card's still around?
No, this is old. This is an old video, man. Like when they're popular stuff, but an electric violin player, how do you get that gig? You have to know somebody to get that gig.
Oh, yeah.
You have to know someone in the band deeply. Like you either have to be a brother or a best friend of somebody who's like, let's just bring Dan along.
Music is one of the most mercurial. It defy how you make it in music is baffling.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's not codified at all.
No. There is no set way of being able to do this in music.
No, yeah, you know. I mean, you either get into a band and a scene. Although scenes seem to be, there's no scenes anymore, which is unfortunate.
Not
I think.
Right now. It is. It's very unfortunate. It is.
Because almost all great musical movements come from a scene. If you go back to like even, blues and jazz, and it's all starts in a scene, just guys jamming.
Yeah. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason how bands became popular. I mean, certainly legendary bands, you can figure out why. I mean, there's a lot of amazing bands that have made it, of course. That I don't want to take anything away from the Rolling Stones and U2 and bands like that. But there are some bands that made it, and you're just like, what? You're just in the right place at the right time back then. But talk about being in the right place at the right time as being a violin player, being asked to join a rock band. It's like, you're not going to hear my violin over the guitars. Well, we'll just plug you in, dude. We'll give you an electric. I wonder if he had distortion on it.
A distortion pedal for his violin.
For his violin. That would be amazing. Like you have to, but I mean, think about all the endorsement deals. You're the only like rock violin player. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be endorsement deals galore coming at you, but probably not because I didn't even know they existed. I guess if you're
on the cover of Violin magazine,
right, taking heavy metal to the bow, But anyway, I thought that was just interesting. That's just a little bit tidbit.
It's like, who was the guy that stood on one foot and played the flute? Or was that in the 70s?
That was
Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull, yeah.
Jethro
Tull, man. I've never really got. He played flute, yeah. I never really got into Jethro Tull, man.
No, it's like getting into Foghat.
I do love Steely Dan. I do have this weird Steely Dan like fetish.
They're not bad.
Oh my god, I think they're amazing. I can't get away from them. I think they're absolutely amazing. I can listen to Steely Dan all day long. I just think they're so creative. I don't know what it is about them.
I think needs to be reassessed. And we talked about this privately in text. I think it's time to reassess the Gin Blossoms.
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Because
they got as popular as they needed to get.
But they got popular, but they didn't get any credit. They came along in the middle of grunge, and I got kind of, and it's always been kind of a joke, when people ask, what's the one band that you kind of are embarrassed to admit you like. And I was like, you know what? I won't turn off a Gin Blossom song.
You know what mine is?
What is?
Goo Goo Dolls.
Goo Goo Dolls.
Goo Goo Dolls. Baby's black balloon makes a fly. I mean, I love their stuff, man. And I would never buy an album.
There's a bunch of bands from the early 90s that kind of got, if they'd been in a different era, I think would get the Lemonheads.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you have that grunge donut, and then the middle's just this soft center that was Lemonheads, Gin Blossoms, stuff like that. And I think, I think they commercially did well, but I don't know that they, could have gone on tour without help, like Mudhoney and bands like that. I don't think that you could go on major tours.
Gin Blossoms?
Yeah, without like a Pearl Jam, or a Nirvana, headliner, back then. I mean, I'm sure they did tours, but I don't think they.
I don't think they were a big draw.
No,
but even though that I mean, they had like 4 really big singles off that record.
They did.
Like you could not in '93. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing "Hey Jealousy."
Yeah, that's very true. In fact, they had "Hey Jealousy" a lot on TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a lot in movies too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say that we were watching Friends the other day on HBO Max, and there was a Gin Blossom song. So commercially, they were successful.
And then there's Doug Hopkins that wrote all the songs that killed himself.
Yeah, and you were telling me that story, but I didn't really understand it.
He wrote "Hey Jealousy." He wrote the other big hit, "Not Follow You Down." It's escaping me, of course.
Let's see. So they had "Follow You Down." Found Out About You.
Found Out About You.
Yeah,
which is a great song. I mean, they kind of come from the school of like, you know, they were with all the arpeggio guitars and kind of more of the descendants of the Replacements and Big Star kind of in that line. And I think they got a bad rap because they came out in the middle of grunge, the grunge explosion, and but that song is.
But do the Gin Blossoms do it on their own without the explosion of grunge?
Probably not, because the weird thing is that record was released in '92 and it went nowhere, and their record label kept pushing it. They made 3 videos for "Hey Jealousy" before it blew up, and they kept, successively the videos got a larger and larger budget. So they were really behind them. But this guy, they go in to record New Miserable Experience. He's the principal songwriter, the founding member of Gin Blossoms. But he's such an alcoholic, as the resulting from probably a bipolar disorder, that halfway through the recording process, he's terminated from the band.
For his
drinking. So he's out of the band. As he's out of the band, they explode.
Not the worst.
So he's not in the band anymore, and he's hearing "Hey Jealousy" all over the radio. I can't think of a sadder tale in rock music than that one. And then he winds up killing himself.
Well, I mean, that's like what was the guy's name? The Fifth Beatle.
There was a few of them. Pete Best.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, Pete Best.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that.
And Nirvana had like 15 drummers.
Well, Van Halen had a bassist that quit before they recorded an album. Like, I mean, like, when that happens, like, what do you go through when that happens? Like, man, guys, like, maybe it's not even because you don't want to be in the band anymore. I would imagine if you're in Van Halen, you're not thinking like, oh man, this band's never going to go anywhere, but you're probably thinking, man, I got to start college.
Yeah.
Right? Like I got accepted in the school. There's no way that I'm going to have time to do this. So, I'm going to have to quit the band, and they find some other guy to play your bass lines, and all of a sudden they're
my God.
album, and now they're one of the greatest, if not arguably the greatest American rock band of all time. And you're going, oh shit, nobody even knows who I am. Like, that's got to be a killer, dude. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, I can't. I mean, and listen to these lyrics. We've heard them a million times, but I never paid attention to them until all last summer. In case you don't recall, I was yours and you were mine. Forget it all. Is there a line that I could write that's sad enough to make you cry? And all the lines you wrote to me were lies. Months rolled past, and the love that you struck dead. Did you love me only in my head?
That's some deep.
If you haven't, I mean, that's strong,
and I mean,
simple lyric writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And to his credit, I don't know that they did much after that. I can't recall them. They might have had some things here and there, but I mean,
they had a couple of hits on their next record, but it was nowhere near. I mean, if you've ever broken up with a girl or she broke your heart, I mean, those lyrics resonate pretty deeply.
That would have been on an album that they had in '92 called "The New Miserable Experience."
Miserable Experience, yeah.
'96, they have congratulations, I'm sorry, and Follow You Down is on there.
Yeah.
But that's his, right?
I don't know if he wrote that or not. He might have.
No, he didn't write that. But I would say the majority of their success was on his
record.
On his record, right?
The band
and
the band that he founded.
I wonder how that works when you're cut from a band or when you're fired from a band like that. But do you have to sign away any future royalties? I wonder.
He did. Because they hadn't made any money yet, they ground him down and negotiated $15,000.
Oh no, dude, no. That's a lesson to all you out there.
That's probably has something to do with why he killed himself.
You want the royalties. You do not want the cash. You want the royalties.
Mm-hmm.
The cash will spend. The residuals and the royalties will last for as long as somebody's listening.
And they were developing a film about him, and Ethan Hawke was going to play him, but it never went anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a sad story, man. Thanks for the
That's really sad. Yeah. Thanks for
there.
But I think he should get more credit.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard that story before. I don't know. I think it's a sad situation though. When people do that and they and like I said, I think the dude from Van Halen just went to college. Like he was like, I got to go to school. And they were like, well, if you're not going to have time to play, you might as well exit, which he did. But it's like, dude, looking back on it now, it's like, holy shit. How do you not try to get back in on that band? Like after they get a record deal and be like, you know what?
I think I made a wrong decision.
Oh God. Yeah.
And especially if you're in Van Halen, you have to know that's going somewhere. I mean, you have to know how good your band is when you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to be involved going, hey, you know what? I think we can there's got to be buzz, especially if you're in a band like Van Halen. I mean, Gin Blossoms, maybe you're going, hey, you know what? I don't think anything's going to happen. But I think Nirvana had an original drummer before David Grohl.
Oh, they had a lot.
They had a lot of drummers before David.
Yeah.
I think Jack Irons and people like that, just like, dude, why? I mean, I can get after you get to a point where where you've made money and you're touring a lot, like the John Frusciante thing with Red Hot Chili Peppers, where you're like, you know what? I just fucking hate touring. I hate going out there and being on the road for a year and a half in a row. And I've made money, I'm done. I can understand that. What I don't understand is like right before things are about to take off, being like, my girlfriend wants me to quit, or you get married or something, which I guess is a good reason.
I think you have to be a certain type person, a certain breed to give your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to, you have to, because if you think about it, like, I like to mess around and play guitar, and I've been thinking about recording some stuff and stuff. And like, even if anything ever happened with it, it's like I'm 44. I can't imagine living on the road and going out and being out for 365 days a year. I think you have to almost be born into that. Like you almost like look at you too. Like you almost have to have that as your everyday part of your life, where you've done it for so long, you expect it to kind of do it and you kind of accept it, but I can't imagine like members of Kiss or whatever, or huge bands where you're gone for a year and a half straight and that's your life. I mean, I would feel like you never have a home,
What's amazing to me is the people that
do have to
still, yeah, absolutely. There's the people that still do it after they don't have to. Like Bob Dylan's been touring for 30 straight years.
Neil Young.
They don't ever stop touring.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Willie Nelson.
Yeah, and now bands have to do it now to make money because they don't make money on records anymore, which is terribly sad. But it's a situation where there is no music industry anymore. But it's like, God, dude, like that's a rough life. And I guess some people just aren't cut out for it. And they're like, listen, dude, I just want out of this nightmare, of waking up in a different hotel room all the time. And I'm sure you have drug issues and alcoholism and all these things going on, and then you have schedules that are given to you. Like, I'm sure your life's not yours when you're on tour. You know what I mean? Where, somebody's giving you a schedule for the day. You got to take this phone call from this radio station or this, XM station. You have to make an appearance here, and you have to show up there, and you have to play on this TV show. And I'm sure, like, you sounds wonderful until you actually have to live it. And you're like, you're either made for it or not made for it at that point,
Yeah. And I think to make it, you have to be made for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you have to be absolutely.
But even most people that are made for it still don't make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we got to talk about some serious stuff now. I was going to ask you, do you think too much is being made out of this Dr. Rachel Levine, who is the transsexual? What is she? The health secretary?
Yes,
assistant health secretary. Do you think that this is a move for political correctness by the administration, or do you think that it's a true, deep-hearted move for a well-qualified person?
Both.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads us into Joe Biden doing an executive order on sports transgenderism being fair, and I am very, very opposed to this. I think this is a really bad move, and I think it kind of goes. Now, I don't know anything about Levine, so I wouldn't tie it into that. I just was curious because I saw that there's a lot of transgenderism going on. And the Biden administration, not a bad thing. It's just whatever. I don't care as long as somebody's qualified. I would wonder if she's the most qualified. I don't know. I know she was a health secretary in Pennsylvania, and she led the state in their COVID response. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't know anything really great coming out of Pennsylvania about their COVID response. So, I guess I'm glad it's somebody that's not New York. But I don't know if honestly, if she was very qualified or is not, or if it was kind of a political media move. And I hope that this administration doesn't use that prop where they're going to be making a lot of PC decisions because, right now we need qualified people, and maybe she is. That's not what I'm saying before I get hate mail. I'm just saying I hope she is, and that, if it just so happens that she's the most qualified person and she happens to be transgender, that's fine. I just hope that we're not making a stand on, hey, we need to have a transgender in office. Let's make it the Assistant Secretary of Health, because right now it's a really important position to have. But I think it bleeds into this executive order on sports transgenderism, where he wants to, I don't know if it's enforce transgenders to be able to take on sports of different gender, like males being able to play female softball, compete. Males compete as females in track and field, or whatever. I find it always really interesting with this thing, Wick, that we don't hear a lot about females wanting to play male sports. I mean, we have females that want to do that. We had talked before, and it didn't ever get on air. But we had talked before about the Vanderbilt kicker, it being a female, and I don't know. A lot of people were kind of put off by it, I guess, because they felt like it was a little bit of a stupid PR move, and I tend to agree with that a little bit. But I'm really troubled by Biden's executive order. Now, I know things are sensitive, and it's hard to put things out there. I mean, we are recording these things and all of that, and I understand. But I think we have to really take serious that this is a situation that bothers me to the point that I think it does hurt females that are playing in a predominantly female sport from being able to advance because a transgender male has advanced into semifinals or state finals or competitions where coaches from colleges are going to be there. I think it has happened. Does it happen on a large scale? I doubt it, but it does happen. And I got to imagine that there are some females that play certain sports, and feel like they kind of gotten the shaft. Bad way of saying that, but kind of gotten the shaft out of saying, "Hey, look,
need a sound effects board."
Yeah, no, I'll put that in later when I do the editing. But have a position where they are feeling like they're good. They can get a college scholarship, college paid for. If I can just do this, if I can win this tournament or whatever, college coaches are going to be there. And you can't go because you got beat by a male who's being protected under a transgender thing. Now, it's a touchy subject, right? Because you should be able to live the way you want to live, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
But on the other
hand,
is this fair? And Tulsi Gabbard recently, a couple of months ago, I believe, came out and said she wanted to pass a law, or did. I don't know the story there, but that she wanted to limit the ability of males or females to compete in opposite sex sports competitions because of what I'm talking about, that it actually hurts things. Of course, that's been buried, in my opinion, and not released. Nobody wants to really talk about it because it's sensitive, but I want to, because I think it is a serious topic. What is your view on Biden's executive order? And I know it's a touchy thing, but whatever you feel comfortable talking about. What do you feel like with Biden's executive order on transgenderism, protecting athletes that want to compete, male athletes being the major subject here, male athletes competing as females in high school? Do you think it's harmful, or do you think this is a great thing? Or
I'm neutral. I think it's a cosmetic executive order.
Yeah, I don't know how you enforce that. I mean,
I don't know how you enforce it. I don't think it's of all things to worry about right now.
No, it's not. Yeah. Definitely not a big deal to worry about right now. Mm-hmm. But I do think that if this becomes a popular trend, and we've seen it happen where males say, "Hey, look, if I can be a female and play in this sport, then I can get a scholarship I can't get as a male." Like, if you want to compete. Like, do
you think maybe it's more geared the other way, and males competing in female sports is just going to be an unfortunate byproduct of that?
Yeah, I think you'll see it. I do. I think people will look for any advantage. It's like the wrestling thing. I mean, males wrestling females, or softball. I mean, people don't want to admit, and like I said, I know this has been a discussion in the past, but it was edited out because it didn't go with the flow of the show. But in this situation, I mean, I was kind of waiting for this to have a moment when it happened, and here it is. But it's kind of like, I think that we have to stop pretending like race, culture, gender doesn't exist. I think it's really dangerous, because I think we should kind of celebrate what makes us unique due to our gender or sexual orientation or our race. I think there's nothing to be ashamed of. But at the same time, I think we're trying to do an all-inclusivity situation in America, which is going to blow up in people's face. Because if you're a male and you feel like you have to be and you feel like you're a female, I have to be careful what I say. I don't want to upset people. That's not what I'm here to do. But if you're a male feeling like you're a female and you have to change your gender, that's fine. And if you want to be a competitor in sports, that's fine. But I have zero issue if you want to be on your football team and you look at your football team and go, look, I feel like I'm a female. And yeah, you're going to get some shit for it, but I think you're going to get some shit either way. But hopefully we have a better understanding, or young people do now. We're always talking about how woke they are and how aware they are. Prove it. If you have a guy on your football team that says, "Listen, I feel like a female inside, but I love to compete and play sports. You're going to see some changes in me that make me feel comfortable, but I still want to play on a team." I'm hoping that we're at the point now. I mean, like I said, you guys are the woke generations. I hope you're understanding enough to be like, dude, that's cool. Whatever. I don't care. And you can play football with the guys, or you can play baseball with the guys, or you can play tennis with the guys, or you can do anything that matches your physical makeup in competition so that you are actually in a competition. What I have a problem with is when you go, I don't want to compete with the guys because I'm not good enough. And I want to go compete with the females, or I feel like I feel like I'm a female inside.
It's kind of another way to look at that.
I want to go play in female sports because that's how I feel inside. I want to clarify that for you guys.
If you're so committed to being a great athlete that you will change your gender to get there.
Hey, I think
that's some conviction.
You know, I'm not going to go
have to take your hat off to.
Yeah, I'm not going to go Tucker Carlson here and say, you know, this is what's going on. But I do think that you can still be a transgender and play in male sports. I don't know that you have to go play in the female. And I get that, you know, you want to be a part of the but you're giving an unfair advantage. You're actually hurting the team that you're playing with. You're hurting other girls who are not able to get on the field because physically you've got more ability.
I think it's one of those things we're going to have to wait and see how much how bad it gets. Yeah, if it at all.
This could be minor, but there are people who have come out. There are female athletes who have come out in that were high school athletes and said, "Listen, I was supposed to go to state. I lost to the male transgender on my team. I didn't make it to state. No college coaches saw me." I think there are people that are hurt by this, and it is not a victimless situation. Okay, and we can say that whether it's the transgender group of people being victims or people that they replace on a team being victims. I mean, there's a lot of victimization that can be possible here. So I'm not exclusively looking at one over others, but one is a better discussion than the other, which is if you're a female on a team, let's say you play tennis, right? We just have to stop acting like there's not a physical difference between men and women. And I will get in, people will get upset with, but scientifically, you cannot argue the fact that men are physically stronger.
Longer hamstrings. Yeah.
Women are 75. They basically say, so if you have a woman, a female, that starts lifting weights at the same time a male does, they will not ever be as strong as that male. It's just physically not possible without the help of hormones or without the help of steroids. You have to have an overabundance of testosterone in your body, which we've seen women do to bodybuild, that men naturally produce. I mean, if a man's naturally producing testosterone to get stronger and it has the benefits of muscle growth, bone density, long muscle, scar repair, all these other things are happening through testosterone and whatnot, especially repairs in your body when you're injured, which is all you're doing when you're working out. You're just breaking things down and letting your body rebuild them. Testosterone aids in all of that. So if your natural production of testosterone is what makes you stronger, and a female has to go get that to supplement to be as strong as a male, it obviously tells you that science is not on the side of everyone's equal as far as strength goes. And I think that's okay. The top Venus Williams, even Venus and Serena Williams at the top of their game. Now, I want everybody to listen closely because John McEnroe got absolute shit on for this, but he was 100% right. They could not compete with the top 100 male tennis players. I would venture to say they couldn't compete with the top 200 male tennis players. That's nothing against them. They are the best female tennis players to ever play. That's an okay category to be in. It is an amazing category to be in. It is take your hat off and respect category to be in, because there are some badass female tennis players, as much as there's some badass female softball players, as much as there's some badass female track and field and runners and things like that. But when we play this game that, well, we're not really allowed to really touch on that because, people get their feelings hurt. The truth of the matter is that when a male competes in a female's heavily female sport, he's going to be the most dominant person on the field if he's physically fit. Point blank, simple, done. He will hit a softball further. He will throw a softball harder. He will serve a tennis ball faster. He will be quicker in a lot of aspects of the sport. He will be faster. Maybe, I think they did a study, and the only two sports where females could actually really beat males was in equestrian. And I'm not trying to be funny. That was really what the study said. Riding a horse and running. Females are, because females endure pain way better. I mean, there are strengths, like, we have to understand
like
that women,
long distance running or
running in general. I don't know if that would be.
I don't even know that. That can't be accurate.
That must be long run.
Yeah, and even then, then I don't think that's accurate.
Sure, sure. So, now what are we going to do in the Olympics when this starts happening? And that is
when it gets down to Olympics and it gets down to professional sports,
right?
Then you have an issue,
right? And eventually it's going to happen. There's somebody who wants the Olympics bad enough, who's going to be a transgender, who wants to play, and she is going to go around suing everybody and taking it to courts and everything like that. And everybody is either going to have to stand on the realm of political correctness and just do the right thing so people aren't upset about it. But there's just some things that you have to understand are the way that they are. And I don't like this executive order because I don't think it should say, I think you should let districts make their decisions. If they want to do it and the teams are okay with it, that's fine. I'm still not okay with it, but whatever. Because I think it's an unfair advantage to the male athlete playing in a female sport.
I don't think there's any way to argue that.
The argument you have is that you don't think it's a big enough deal yet to even worry about it.
No, not yet. I mean, not until it gets into professional sports or people getting scholarships.
Now, the problem is
the irony is very few, and it's a sad truth, very few full athletic scholarships, I would imagine, are granted to female athletes.
Yeah, because they're not money makers.
They're not, yeah.
They're just not. I mean, you want to watch the PGA Tour, or you want to watch the LPGA Tour? You're going to watch the PGA Tour. It's why
neither.
It makes money. Well, it makes money. The LPGA, I would argue, probably doesn't. I would argue that the WNBA doesn't make money. Maybe they do. I would doubt it's a tremendous amount of money. I don't know anybody that goes to WNBA games. I can't even name you a WNBA team. I know there's one in Atlanta. I can tell you who they are.
The Dream?
Yeah, they're not on TV that I know of.
No.
Do they have a TV deal?
I don't think so.
Then what, then it's almost like we're trying to hold up bad investments because it's what's politically correct to do. And at some point, the rubber meets the road. And I think the LPGA does okay. But I mean, it's one of those things. But they don't win the money that the men do because they can't afford to give them, $1.8 million for coming in first.
And that's just the nature of the marketplace.
That's the nature of the marketplace, but it's also supply and demand.
It's like with
the demand's
actors
not there.
And actors on films. When the male makes more money than the female. The female actor in the same project, and then, but that's just what the marketplace demands.
Yeah, I understand that. I do think that there should be fair pay and things like that. And
yeah, but what if what if the male is a higher draw?
It's a good point.
I mean, if Leonardo DiCaprio agrees to do a movie, he can mobilize $500 million.
Yeah, I mean
with one word.
That's a really good point. I mean, like, who would you say is the largest female star in movies right now? Johansson?
Probably.
And I mean, is she that great of an actress?
She's great in Jojo Rabbit.
I never saw any of her stuff other than her Marvel stuff, and I don't know that I was.
She's pretty good.
Her acting.
She's pretty good.
Fair enough.
I mean, if you go back to the 90s, I mean, there was, I'm sure, certainly Hugh Grant wasn't making, I forget what the name of the project was with Julia Roberts, but she made more than he did.
Did you see
because the marketplace, she was the draw.
Did you watch? God, he just did something on HBO Max.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
The Undoing. Have you seen The Undoing?
Is it good?
Hugh Grant. You know, I've realized something. It's got Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's you forget, like, I guess he's just been out of the spotlight so long, you forget how great of an actor he is. He is a really good actor.
He's a really good, especially comic actor.
Yeah, and he's
very good
a comedy man. Here. If you watch it, it's only 6 episodes. It's really good. I found myself watching it, and I was like, I forgot how good of an actor he was. I forgot how good he is. On the other spectrum of things, Nicole Kidman's in this too, and I forget how bad of an actress I really think Nicole Kidman is.
Nicole Kidman, really?
Yeah, like I just heard that they were going to cast her for a Lucille Ball's biopic. Now maybe she'll be fantastic, and I'm going to eat my words. But I have a feeling that she plays certain characters for a reason, because I think she's boring. Like in this particular one, she's a psychiatrist. But I remember, like in Batman, she was a psychiatrist, and I think she's played that kind of role over and over again, where she's kind of like a medical doctor, and so like they don't give her much like emotional like spectrum to work with. And I kind of wonder, is that just, my wife was like, I think that's just her. Like I think they're like, we've talked about it before. Like, you know, Robert Downey Jr., great character actor, in my opinion. You know, Johnny Depp, good character actor. You have actors that can, Philip Seymour
Hoffman.
Yeah. You have people that are great character actors. Now, the guy that you're a big fan of, Seymour, died of a drug overdose.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I was thinking Dustin Hoffman when you said that. Philip Seymour Hoffman, great character actor. Like they can play Truman Capote. Like there are people people who can get into a role and really play it well.
Well, also you don't know how good an actor is until they get the parts. Well,
my point is that there are people that are really good at acting themselves. Like
that's an underrated art, though.
Well, is it? I mean, if you're Jason Bateman acting like Jason Bateman, is it hard to be Jason Bateman?
Okay,
because I have a feeling that what you see of Jason Bateman on the screen is Jason Bateman if you beat him in a bar. Right. I don't see a lot of validity between Jason Bateman and other characters. And some.
Now, would you make that same argument for Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, I don't think Jack Nicholson is a great character actor.
He's a great actor.
I think he's great playing Jack Nicholson.
But he's incredible at it.
Sure.
And he's still
Robert
a great actor.
De Niro's great at it.
He's still a great actor.
Who's going to play Robert De Niro better than Robert De Niro?
That's it's a very underrated art, and also the way that Hollywood goes. You don't think Jack Nicholson's a great actor? Name a movie that's not improved with Jack Nicholson.
What? Okay, Wick, this is a role. Okay. And what do you say? Hey, what am I looking for as I get prepared for this role? And they go, just be Wick. That's not a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, but moreover, how are you emotionally communicating to the audience? That means more than being able to play a range of characters.
Right. I don't know.
Like a great example for that is the most moved I've ever been by a performance is Robert Duvall in Lonesome Dove, and he's playing Robert Duvall.
Sure, yeah. But I think there's with that situation, I think that there are times where you just love who the person is anyway, and so when they play themselves, you.
But that does not mean they're not great actors.
I think to me it taints them a little bit. I like somebody who can play a variety of roles and be blown away by it. That's why Robert Downey Jr. to me is high on my list. Yes, he probably plays himself a little bit, but I like the fact that
Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr.
It is Robert Downey Jr. That's true. But we just watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang tonight.
That was great.
Yeah, and I mean Val Kilmer as well can play a variety of roles. Johnny Depp can play there's depth. And
okay, would you say though that Val Kilmer is a better actor than Jack Nicholson?
Based on my personal preference and things I've seen, like this is not going to be a scientific study. Yeah. I think, yeah, sure. Throughout the catalog, I enjoy Val Kilmer's characterizations of things more than I have Jack Nicholas. I like Jack Nicholas, but I don't go see movies because of Jack Nicholas.
Because Jack Nicholas is a golfer.
Jack Nicholson, sorry. Dick. Yeah, I don't go see Jack Nicholson because he's in something. But I would probably go see something because Robert Downey Jr. is in it, or maybe even Johnny Depp. Because I like to see the depth. I like to see where they'll go with the character when it's theirs. And trust me, I like Jason Bateman. I think he's a cool dude, man. I think he is probably one of the coolest people in Hollywood.
But
I would love to give him a freaking bro bump. Like, I think he's cool. But
in the end, there's like 2 of those slots available to actors that play a range of characters and are stars.
Right. I mean, Brad Pitt plays Brad Pitt, right?
Brad Pitt plays Brad Pitt. Jack Nicholson plays Jack Nicholson.
George Clooney plays George Clooney.
Plays George Clooney. And there's right now and he's retired now, the only one I can think of is Daniel Day-Lewis.
Let's look up and I do think that you do have a point. And I'm not taking your point away.
Or look at somebody like Jimmy Stewart.
Saying,
Jimmy Stewart always played Jimmy Stewart.
Okay, so these are
but he's still a great actor.
These are the guys that are considered greatest character actors: J.K. Simmons, Paul Giamatti, Chris Cooper, Steve Buscemi. Give you that 100%.
But he still plays Steve Buscemi. He just
think so? I don't think so. Like Boardwalk Empire, I didn't feel like he was being Steve Buscemi at all. Gary Oldman.
I haven't seen him like really. Gary Oldman, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Some of these I don't know. William Fichtner.
Yeah. I mean,
was he in Bloodline?
Well, a lot of times character actors, that doesn't mean they're necessarily playing a broad range. That just means they play smaller
William H.
roles.
Macy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at names that I know because there's John C. Reilly. I don't know about that. I mean, John C. Reilly, disagree on that one?
I don't know, man. If you can do what he does,
Clint Eastwood's on this list. That's difficult for me.
That's wrong.
I think Clint Eastwood's always been Clint Eastwood. It's just in a different environment. John Goodman would give him that. I like John.
Yeah,
Goodman.
but he plays John Goodman all the time.
You think so? I don't know.
I mean, the only true character actor who's changing their appearance, changing their demeanor, changing their walk, changing their voice right now is Daniel Day-Lewis. And Gary.
I don't know. You don't think Johnny Depp does?
Johnny Depp does, yeah.
Let's see. These names I don't know. You would probably know. You're like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, sure, he's great in that movie. Yeah, I don't know all these people, but so yeah. To go back to the original topic, maybe males do draw more than females. I'm trying to think of who the top female actor would be. Do you do that by how much they make?
By box office.
Scarlett Johansson, Charlize Theron, Natalie Portman.
It's a big game anyway because
Jennifer Lawrence.
Movies make movie stars. Movie stars don't make movies.
Cate Blanchett, Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie, Jennifer Aniston. Not a character act to me. Jennifer Aniston does Jennifer Aniston. I can't stand Emma Stone. Is that weird?
I'm not that much of a fan either.
I don't know. It's just how she talks. I can't stand it. Julianne Moore, Angelina Jolie, Kate Winslet. Now we're getting into Julia Roberts and Reese Witherspoon. It seems like more of the females play themselves than the males are a little bit more.
Unless you're Meryl Streep.
That's true. Which I'm not a huge fan.
Of Meryl Streep?
Yeah, I just never saw a lot with her. Not to say that
you probably won't watch her movies.
Yeah, I like explosions, man.
Yeah, she's not in a lot of those.
Listen, nudity, sex, violence. That's my, language.
You're such a cinephile.
Yeah, I admit it. Like when the content warning comes on when I'm watching an HBO movie or something, I'm like, what's this? And it's like PG, and I'm like, skip. But if it's like violence, sex, language, I'm like, deal me in. Let's see what's happening here. I'm gonna give this shiny button a push. That's just me, man. I'm just simple minded. You know that. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
You have to see a movie with Daniel Day-Lewis in it.
When he in Gangs of New York?
Yeah, he was Bill the Butcher.
Yeah, I was getting that.
Yeah,
I think there are actors. I think there are actors that cinema people just freaking love. I mean, I think he's just one of them. Like, I don't know that the average person's like, yes, Daniel Day-Lewis. I think people who really
but he fits your description of what a great actor is better than anybody else.
Then I should give him a try. Mm-hmm. I admit that. There Will Be Blood, I heard was good, right?
Yeah, he's in There Will Be Blood. He's Lincoln.
I need to watch.
He's incredible as Lincoln.
I didn't see that. I saw Lincoln the Vampire Hunter, which was great.
No, it wasn't. It was terrible.
Oh my God!
You watched Lincoln the Vampire Hunter.
I watched Lincoln. I went to the movies to see Lincoln the Vampire Hunter.
Of course you did.
I paid to see that. He's a vampire hunter who's the president in the middle of the Civil War. What's there not to like?
So the Civil War is not enough for you. There needs to be vampires.
Oh God, yeah.
On top of the bloodiest war in history.
Dude, like, come on, man. When Lincoln,
all you have to do is show the Civil War.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a big Civil War guy. It's been a little bit interesting to me, but not majorly interesting. I think the American Revolution is a lot more interesting to me. Like, I don't know. Civil War's never been. Maybe it's because I'm from the South and there's been a lot of talk about Civil Wars and whatnot, but I just tune out on Civil War. I don't know why. I just do. I've done my due diligence. I got one of those History Time Life books at the checkout a couple of years ago, and I was like,
Gettysburg, the most important battle in
here we go,
the Western Hemisphere.
History lesson
that changed the Western Hemisphere forever. You know why it happened?
Go ahead.
Because some Confederate soldiers marched into Gettysburg because they needed some shoes. And the most important battle in the Western Hemisphere occurred because they wanted some shoes.
Well,
that's how crazy.
Oh, no doubt.
Is.
No doubt. I mean, no doubt. I mean, it's an interesting topic, and all that. I've never sought out Civil War stuff. I mean, it just, I don't know. I went to the Cyclorama, which is a painting of the Civil War. It goes around your seats.
And you know why Gettysburg was so important?
Yeah. I mean, 7th grade, I have to go back and remember, but sure. I mean, it's just not.
If the South would have won that battle, the war is over.
Yeah, because they were kind of winning at that point.
The Union was in between Lee's army and Washington.
There you go.
And if they had overrun, and they came that close to overrunning it.
Have you ever seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson?
It's terrible.
Oh my God! What?
It has no historical accuracy.
Oh my God! This is it.
None.
We're done. We're done. We're done. Podcast divorce happening now. I'm filing. No, The Patriot's the shit, man. Come on, man. The Patriot dude goes out with their tomahawk and just starts taking control. Like, no, dude, come on.
Yeah, because Washington's army being hemmed in on the Hudson.
It's got to have some historical value before it makes any sense.
Yeah, because this is way more interesting. They're hemmed in the Hudson Valley, in the Hudson River, by a British stockade.
We're losing some.
They have to cross the Hudson to survive, right. And there's no way they can do it. A fog rolls in,
protects them,
and they're able to cross the Hudson and get away from the Redcoats.
Newt Gingrich wrote a book
that close to losing the Revolution, right there.
On a serious note, Newt Gingrich wrote a book about all that.
Yeah, he's written several.
Yeah, and I didn't read it,
Because
but I heard it
history
was
is way more interesting.
yeah.
I don't know why they don't.
Fact is
be
better.
more
I get it, but I also like to see Mel Gibson with 2 tomahawks taking care of business and an explosion behind him, like cannonballs exploding in the ground right behind him, and people just covered in blood, just freaking going to town. That's what I'm interested in. So I'm more of an American Revolutionary kind of guy. But it's
First
just
20
not my
minutes.
thing.
First 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan.
I've never seen Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my God!
I know.
Divorce is final.
Yep. And file it now. File it.
If you like action
I'm
sequences,
gonna
there is
ask custody
nothing.
for both microphones.
There is nothing. There is no action sequence in the history of film that even comes close than the first 30 minutes
Now,
of Saving Private Ryan.
I now
If you like explosions and you like limbs being blown off
I'm
and
weird,
people
dude.
looking
I am
at their own severed arm on the Normandy beach and picking it up because they don't know what to do.
I am not a movie war guy. I know. I got to change who I am. I know. I got to change who I am. I know. But
It's explosions. It's
I'm
blood.
just not a war movie guy. I know that sounds weird, man. I don't know many war movies I really was like, oh yeah, I got to see it. Like I've never seen like American Sniper or anything like that. Like
they're coming in on the boats and the camera's sitting right behind their heads.
It's gonna get going.
And the door drops down to Normandy.
All right, I will.
And
watch
they
it.
just get
I will watch
comes
it.
through and they're all massacred.
I will watch it. I don't know how we got here from transgenderism, but that's kind of what the show is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just
blathering.
blathering. Dukes of blather, man. That's what we do. No, I'm just not a war movie guy. I need to change who I am. I know. But I don't know what it is. It's just never been that interesting. It's like sci-fi. Like I wasn't really into sci-fi, and then like as I got older, I'm like, yeah, it's interesting now. I think I'm really late to a lot of things. Honestly, I'm a late bloomer. I'm a grower, not a shower. So I've got to grow to that point of showing out, and then I can see what I want to see. But until that time, man, I just have to wait for my brain to catch up.
Saving Private Ryan. Oh my God, the list is endless.
Yeah, I do need to see that. I heard Band of Brothers is good too. I need to watch that.
But it's great.
Anyway, yeah. So we'll see what happens with this transgender thing. It's probably not going to be a huge deal. Let's hope, but we'll see. As far as we've discovered that male actors are deservingly paid well versus female actors, according to Wick. And
I know I didn't say that.
Got you.
I said that's what the market dictates.
That's what the market dictates. He did say that before you get angry. But listen, man, I think it's time to.
What if they're co-stars now?
What's that?
If they're both equal draws, it should be even.
Yeah, but I mean, who's an equal draw? Well, I guess it depends on who you're talking about.
Right? It happens more now, yeah. Like because you need more than one movie star
to carry a movie, thanks to Marvel.
Yeah.
Can't just have one person. Got to have a whole crew of everybody making $20 million.
They don't make that anymore, unless you're Robert Downey.
I wonder how much they do get paid for those. I'm sure it's.
Well, they get back-end points, which is where all the money. I know.
They get box office share, don't they?
Yeah, I think Tom Hanks wound up making almost $100 million off of Saving Private Ryan.
Off of GameStop stock. $100 million.
Yep.
That's what he made on GameStop. Oh, wow.
I think he's a trillionaire.
Yeah, absolutely. So that goes to show you, man, get out there and get your GameStop stock, AMC. Buy some AMC because I got some of that. I need that to pump up tomorrow for me. Wick, is there anything you want to add to this?
Nope, I'm done. I'm good.
You're done with everything. Are we divorcing?
We'll talk about it later.
I think there needs to be a cool-off period for us. Maybe meet with a mediator who can discuss what we both feel, how we feel. Maybe you know what we need to do is go to like a podcast counseling session. Maybe sit down.
It'll be like that documentary, the Metallica documentary,
where the guy that was overpaid that came in and was like, "Well, hold on, let's see how James Hetfield feels about this because he's the guy paying me."
And then he wouldn't leave.
They were like, "Can you go?"
Yeah. And he'd given up his entire practice to just be their sole counselor.
I mean, how much was he getting paid to do that, though?
I'm sure a lot.
7 figures?
Probably, yeah.
Probably well worth leaving your practice to just hang around Metallica and listen to them discuss music while they throw fits. That's all dysfunctional anyway. I mean, the best bands in the world are dysfunctional.
That's why they make great music.
Right. I mean, you got to have somebody who has some kind of drug addiction or problem. When they get sober, they're not any good anymore. Let's just be honest. No. You know, I mean, there's got to be some turmoil.
The only example I can think of is John Coltrane.
What's the example?
He got sober and got better.
Oh, really? I'm not a John Coltrane guy. So we're discovering I don't have a lot of cultural diversity.
You're going to have to expand your musical palette.
I know. I got to expand my movies. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. You've been listening to the Dukes of Blather. I'm Sam. That's Wick. Don't forget that we have Facebook pages. We have Twitters. We have Podbean. We have iTunes, Amazon. We are Spotify. We are Google Play. We're everywhere. So please go and download us.
Everywhere you want to be.
Everywhere you want to be.
I apologize.
We'll get sued for that. But no, it's thanks for joining us. Thanks for having a good time with us. We always enjoy it. We'll see you next week with some kind of shenanigans we'll come up with. So tell your friends, tell your enemies we're out here, and download us and keep listening. We appreciate all the support we're getting. We're getting an increase in downloads, which has been nice. And join us on our Facebook because we always release.
We're big in Japan.
Yeah, we're huge in Japan, man. It's probably we're going to get our retirement here in a couple of years. Thanks, everybody. Go buy your stock and enjoy it. Get rich and sell it off and go buy something you don't deserve. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Sam. That's Wick. You've been listening to the